Good morning, Superkickin with Steven fans. Your favorite host right here, Greg and Steven, joining you live. A little bit earlier, we got some things going on, but it's okay. We're here. We're live for you. Today's episode won't really recap Raw and SmackDown because we got Extreme Rules. So we might sprinkle in Raw and SmackDown talk with our predictions if we need to. But we will hit up NXT, the latest episode of that. Maybe we'll see if our feelings have changed from week 1 to week 2. We'll also hit up AEW Grand Slam, which happened over 2 nights. So we had Wednesday night, Dynamite was 2 hours. And then we had last night was the other 2 hours. I believe it was taped on Wednesday night. So actually was not live last night, but not much difference, I thought, in the presentation, all that. So, and then we'll give you our Extreme Rules predictions. Kind of hard to believe. Extreme Rules, I feel like snuck up on us, didn't it, Greg?
Yeah, it did. And that's the problem. There's too many pay-per-views. If they took a few out and let the build-up happen more organically, we'd be more into it. And instead of like days like today where you just wake up and like, oh, it's a pay-per-view today. There's nothing to look forward to. It just happens.
And then next week we got the draft. And like we've said a lot of times, we need to switch a lot of people, to really get guys fresh and girls fresh and get some new matchups. I think that's why they've just been having people show up on either show, trying to see where guys could fit or just try to throw all of that at the wall because next Friday will be the first night. So SmackDown will get the first night. I'll be kind of curious who does the drafting. Normally I guess maybe they'll do that again where they have Fox executives and USA executives, and then Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville will just be the main, announcers or whatever. I thought last time they had the robot for Fox sitting in the war room, which I did kind of laugh at because, they have that weird robot thing for the football and all the shows and all that. So, yeah, I'm sure I don't know, Greg. I liked when it was like Stephanie and Mick Foley and then Shane and Daniel Bryan. I thought that was a fun draft, because you thought, oh, wow, these guys are really but when you just have executive or when you have nothing, really nobody for the brands because you have Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville in charge of both in a way, it does take away from it. And, hopefully, we kind of get back to that and, we'll see if I'm going to assume, Greg, nobody gets called up from NXT. Would you think that's a pretty safe assumption as well from what it looks like?
Given the formula that they're changing to with NXT, it would make sense to pull up the guys in NXT who are, the lifers that you're weeding out their spot. So it would be a smarter thing to do to pull those guys up now. So with timing and everything, with the 2.0 switch and, the guys who have left, the mainstays, it would make sense to have the NXT guys drafted. So I think we will see a couple NXT guys come up. And I was under the impression that from SmackDown that Raw would be the first night. So I could be wrong, but I thought I heard that Raw was going to be night 1 and SmackDown was going to be night 2.
I guess I assume SmackDown because of the Fox implications and all that and network television. So I guess we'll see. And then to kind of go on your, kind of go against your point, I guess then Gargano wouldn't have made sense. It still doesn't make sense for Gargano to be champion because I think he could have been somebody to get, even if it's a short run. But like him and Gargano, you think those are the two NXT lifers, and they're kind of going to stay down there. So, or Io Shirai, we've mentioned her name a lot. I feel like she might stay down there. So I wonder, maybe some of those middle of the roads, like you said. I know you've talked up LA Knight. That could be a guy. That's probably the biggest name I think I could see. Maybe Cameron Grimes. I mean, because he feels like that middle of the road where they probably want to use him more. So why not call him up? But women's wise, we thought Aaliyah a long time ago, she was traded for Mandy Rose. So now they'll probably give her official home. I'm trying to think women's like Dakota Kai, maybe. We haven't seen her on TV. So maybe she gets drafted. And then other than that, it's really, I guess those are the 4 names I think of, Greg. Is there names you have off the top of your head, or that's where I think a lot of people just stay in NXT just because I don't know if there's anybody. We've said Legado a lot, and now that they have Elektra, that really changes their dynamic of whether they stay down there because now there's more miles to run with them.
True. And you're right. The people that we would check off to go up to the main roster are in some pretty hot feuds right now. Legado and Hit Row have a hot program going on right now. Loving what they're doing. You can't split Gargano from the way because then you have nothing pretty much. And, you need him to steer that ship. So unless you're bringing all of the way up, which I don't think that's going to happen. And then Ciampa's the champion, so he's going to need a run. So he's not going to make sense. So EO makes the most sense. They're tag team champions, but that's easy enough to, swing over to somebody else and have her come up. She's one of those fits in the Adam Cole mold. She's been in there a long time, and she's due to be on the main roster. So what's taking them so long? So I would definitely put her in there. Dakota makes perfect sense because you have nowhere for her to go. So aside from them, I really don't know who you choose to bring up. But if they're doing this whole format switch and all the guys who have been around are going to get slowly weeded out, it's best to give them something worthy of them on the main roster. So, but at the same time, you still need those vets on the NXT to show the newbies the way. Yeah. So there's that too.
And like with the way, with Candice LeRae being pregnant now, I think Gargano wants to stay close.
Right.
And who knows where they, I'm guessing he doesn't want to travel. She's got time, obviously, but I wonder if that obviously plays a role. So, I like, and Dakota Kai. You think she's somebody? I feel like she's been down there forever. I don't remember when. It feels like she's been down there for and Aaliyah. Like I said, she was on that first Breaking Ground show with like Baron Corbin was highly featured. So, Aaliyah's been down there forever. So I think now it's time to pull the trigger on Dakota Kai and, Leah and especially Io Shirai, because I think all the women on the main roster want to work with her. Sasha wants to work with her. Bailey does. Maybe Asuka could team up with her. Charlotte, I'm sure, wants to mix it up. Then you got Shayna Baszler, who probably has history with her. Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair. Everybody probably wants to work with her. So, maybe this coming Tuesday, then that's why I would have pulled the trigger on the women's tag team titles. Even if you didn't think Casey and Caden or Jade, whatever, the TikTok girls as they call themselves, even if you didn't fully invest in them, just give them a couple weeks and then you can, or a few, like a month, and then find somebody else. But I'll be curious to see. Well, that goes right into our first topic, Greg. We'll just kind of bring up, NXT 2.0. Any changes of feeling from week 1 to week 2 yet, or do you think it's still taking some time for you to kind of get a feel for it?
It's going to take some time. Watching the second episode of the 2.0 era, I was happier with it as far as the match quality. The matches were really good. It's going to take a minute for the new setting to sink in. All the odd splashes of color they've thrown throughout the show. I don't know, for some reason you seem like you're watching a watercolor painting at some times during the broadcast. So I don't know, just some graphics implanted color thrown in there just to trick the eye, or what's going on with that. We do like that you can see the audience now, see their responses. It's already started paying off. Started last week with the way the last show ended with the wedding. But they didn't hit us with so many debuts. this week because they did so many last week.
Yeah.
But I was happier with the show. I'm still sitting on the fence about it, giving it time, but better than last week for sure.
And we talked about it. Like I mentioned, give guys promos. They gave the Chase Hudson guy, Chase University, sorry, and then they gave the little in-ring, promo from a woman, and then even the guy by the New York City bridge or whatever. So now, they realized, oh, we got to give the viewers who they are. We got to introduce these characters. Even though, that first segment, Greg, was, we're just going to throw all the men out there and let them brawl, which I was kind of like, I didn't have too much of a problem because it does show the old and new guard, but it's just like, all right, whatever, we're going to do this again. So any thoughts on that first segment, Greg, with Ciampa, and then just it looked like every other male wrestler they had on the roster just run out there to state their case for why they should be champion. And, of course, It was Braun and Ciampa standing tall because they were setting up for a tag team match.
Right. It was very basic WWE formula to have the champ come out and then have 10 guys come out after him and each cut each other off in succession. And I wasn't happy about hearing Triple H being taken out of power as far as the figurehead, the creative director of NXT, as far as having it being separate from the main roster product.
Mm-hmm.
And with stuff like this, you can see that, at least from what I've been hearing, that Vince and Bruce Pritchard are taking hands-on leadership of NXT, and I hate that because I like the difference between the two, which was very, very obvious. And with this segment and some other things that's been happening lately, you can see that there has been a huge shift from what NXT used to be to what NXT is. And sounds like those rumors are true with Vince and Bruce taking over the direction of NXT. And you can see in the segments. So I didn't have a problem with this segment, especially when my dude LA Knight came out and started chirping at him. I didn't get enough time to chirp at him, and he's definitely the guy I want to see get drafted from NXT. But it was a decent opening segment. You kind of get tired of everybody cutting each other off and, kind of making the whole thing a muddled mess. But, it was basic WWE main roster stuff on NXT. So it is what it is. It was okay. And like I said, it set the stage for the main event. So, it served its purpose, but they could have taken 5 minutes out of the segment and done the same thing.
Yeah, and like Triple H's timing of, that cardiac issue they called it he had, I'm sure doesn't help things, because I'm guessing they want to give him all the time to recover and get healthy. So he's probably not even, I saw the rumor that said talent can check in with him, but do not talk business. And it's like, what? Can you imagine trying to talk to Triple H and not talk business? I mean,
right.
Whatever. It's like it's like us in jobs. Like it's sometimes hard to turn off. But anyway, so we'll see what Triple H, makes it back. If maybe there's a little change of, guard, or maybe Vince and Bruce lay back a little bit. But I'm assuming, like you said, they're probably more hands-on now just because of that issue and, kind of running things because, I guess you need somebody down there, unless it's like Shawn Michaels, I guess, was kind of under Triple H, but, there's some other producers, but we'll just kind of see. Roderick Strong defeated Kushida. I guess that's a name, Greg, I hadn't thought about. Kushida could be one of the guys get called up because, he got a little run with the NXT Cruiserweight title. Looks like, he's got some promo skills. I mean, as far as he can. And, I think now he's adjusted to the WWE style. So that's a name that could be thrown up. And that might be why he lost. Even though, I think we both agree that Dynamite needs to start winning stuff to actually mean something. So the fact that Roderick Strong is the first guy, maybe tag team titles for the men's side of things could be something as well for the Creed brothers, because it looks like they're going to shoot them to the moon, in the words of Cameron Grimes. But good match. And like I said, I think Kushida is a name now that I could see maybe getting called up to the main roster, Greg. What do you think about Roderick Strong and Kushida going at it for the Cruiserweight title?
Yeah, really good match. Really hard-hitting match. And it, it threw back to the old style, telling the story during the match, letting you get emotionally invested in it. And then, with the whole Diamond Mine sitting there watching, you kind of knew what was going to happen at the end. But the story they told on the way to getting there was really good. And it would totally make sense to have Kushida be one of the guys who gets drafted, because, now he's dropped the title, who are you going to feud him with next? And, there's a world of possibilities up with him on the main roster. And I know the language barrier is an issue, but you can't really go the Oscar route and just let him yell in Chinese or Japanese on screen. But I like what they have done in the past and really underutilized with the Asian wrestlers. And it's hard to use the word underutilized with WWE in any respect, but when they would have the interview segments and just have the interview segments be captioned, so they can speak in their native language, they can be comfortable, and we know what they're saying, and it gets the point across, it gets the feeling across, and it pulls us in. And the fact that they're trash talking in their own language, it pulls you in more because it sounds more serious. So, that's something they could definitely do with him. Give him some time to come up, give him some vignettes, and make him seem like a bigger deal. So I'd be all aboard for doing something like that with him, doing that with EO. That's the one person I can think of they utilize that with, and it comes over great. They put her in a dark room, with a single light on her, let her talk, and her tone and the captioning all comes together, and it's great. So, do something like that with Kushida. Do that with EO when she comes up, and they would both kill it when they get up to the main roster.
Yep. Next up, Kaylee Ray defeated Amari Miller. Kaylee Ray just getting another, good win. I think they're all in on Kaylee Ray, aren't they, Greg?
Looks like it, yeah. And they need somebody, because now that we really got the juices flowing with people who need to come up,
You think Raquel?
I would enjoy seeing Raquel on the main roster. It could be her time. And they talked enough about Kaylee Ray and her record-setting run in NXT UK. She'd be the perfect person to take over and start a new run. And then you got Raquel against Charlotte, Raquel against, all the giants that really don't stand up stature-wise, against Bianca, against Charlotte, even with Becky. So, I would be all for, calling up Raquel at this point. She's had a good reign, probably 3-4 months, I believe, and add some more juice to the main roster, because they definitely need it.
And I don't know if you saw, Greg, her beau is Braun Strowman, which I did not realize was a thing, but apparently they are the newest power couple. So we'll see.
Wow.
That's two names I did not foresee together, but they've been on Instagram together or on TikTok together, and like she's making cheesy weightlifting jokes to him. And then apparently there was a wedding picture of them together, not getting married, but at a wedding. I'll pump the brakes on that, but yeah. So more lovers in WWE, Greg. I guess it's where we got to go if we want to find. That's right. I knew all along that's where I needed to go to find a lady. But anyways, it's a whole nother story.
Right.
How about Dante Chen? He debuted. He is Filipino, or no? He's, what did they say? I forget what they said. He's the first Malaysian. Thailand. Okay. Thai. Okay. I knew he was somewhere, in the Far East, but not a long match. He hit that whatever move, at the end, and then it was over. So, and then Trey Baxter got to kiss his girlfriend. It looked like Cora J in a backstage segment because I believe they're a couple. So, yeah, there's lovers everywhere, Greg, in WWE. But Dante Chen, not a bad, debut with a just impressive look and move there at the start.
Yeah, true. That is, and it's not often we can say it. That's a move I haven't seen before.
I mean, it looked pretty different, so I didn't know how to even describe it.
Right. So kudos to him from that. He comes to the ring looking like a Mortal Kombat character, and it'll definitely get some eyes on him. So I'll be interested to see how he follows up. But he looked strong. He looked like he's got a little something to him. So keep booking him. Let's
That's a good. The Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat was a good way to put it because I was like, I think we always think these guys look like creative wrestlers at first until you really get deep into them and figure out what they can do. Next up, so this guy Greg got a lot of mouths talking with his promo and talking about safe spaces and the woke and making this a safe place. And yeah, so politics and wrestling have always intermingled. I mean, we might as well admit it. I still remember when Sergeant Slaughter turned on the U.S. Greg and joined, the Iraqi supporters, back when it was him and Hogan going at it. So, right. And then of course we had Muhammad Hassan. I mean, you talk about pushing the envelope, and then he gets taken out by Hulk Hogan very shortly after. But do you think they're going to go deep into this, Greg, or do you think with Joe Gacy, or do you think they'll realize this is probably a little bit too far and we might need to go a different direction? And by the way, he lost to Cameron Grimes, which doesn't really matter in the grand scheme, but it's more about his name was mentioned in some newspapers, about if it was too over the line with where they're going with it. So what do you think, Greg? Is it too over the line, or is it? I mean, we know it's a character, and I guess that's what I have to think back to. But at the same time, in today's culture, I guess you have to be careful, of that. I mean, we've canceled actors, who make comments and then they get pulled from movies. So now, granted, those are real life comments, but this, it is a promo, but it's a fine line to walk, I think.
Yeah, I would probably have to watch it again because my thoughts on it was, okay, this is corny.
Yeah.
And it is, I get a little bored listening to him talking this is a safe place and things like that. I can see how he'd be mocking, a counselor or culture, whatever. Yeah. And that's the whole thing. I've never been completely into what the woke culture is. So it's I know there's some people who watched it and were up in arms about it, but WWE is too bullheaded to see it doesn't work and kill it immediately. So I think it's going to drag out for a bit longer to see if it catches on, at least with the fan base in NXT, and because they achieved their goal in separating it, him character-wise from the others, the way he looks, and the way he talks, and
and wrestling in
therapy session,
a shirt right. And pants. I mean, he's Baron Corbin-esque wrestling in that that gray shirt and pants. But I like you said, I mean, they haven't pulled the trigger away I mean, I do think back to the Beaver Cleaver character they were going to bring. I don't know if you remember that way back in the day, Greg, but I think that was a 1 week thing. And then they're like, okay, even this is too much for us. So you never know. But I mean, it got newspapers talking, and I know you're always about, oh, well, we got a reaction, but if it's getting the wrong reaction from real life media, do you want that? You already have a stigma anyway. Let's face it, because like we know this is corny and probably not worth the time to write a legit editorial about it or article about it. But outside of our small bubble, as we put it, people don't always understand that. So I'll be interested to see how he kind of moves forward. Elektra Lopez defeated Anna Shear. Then, of course, we had BFAB come out there. I thought Elektra looked pretty darn solid, and we'll see if BFAB can carry her weight when they finally face off, unless they just do maybe they do a 4-on-4 so that BFAB can kind of be protected a little bit and then save the single match for later on. But what do you think about Elektra Lopez's first match there, Greg, in NXT?
I was more impressed with Elektra's match than I was with BFAB's match the week before.
Yeah.
Elektra looked really solid. It was a quick match, but she looked dominant. She, everything fit with her. And BFAB's match the week before looked a bit awkward, and she was not as sure of herself as she is when she's just having a promo or mugging with the rest of her crew. So big props to Elektra. She looked like a boss. I'm still looking forward to seeing how this storyline carries out. And I see war games happening with these two crews, Legato and Hit Row, put them in war games and let it be 4-on-4, leave the women in there and have them all mix it up. Be great.
Because you could still, like we said, maybe the women don't have to do as, I hate saying do as much, but, maybe they could leave something left. So Odyssey Jones defeated a couple 2 scrubs, but the big story there is Chase. I said Hudson, that's actually Duke Hudson. I can't remember Chase's last name, but Chase University. And he called out Steve, Greg, for never winning a match in wrestling. So I took offense to that. Come on now. That's my namesake. So anyways, but Chase and Odyssey will get a little feud going, and maybe we'll have Odyssey Jones crash Chase University classroom one day and get that feud going there. So Odyssey Jones defeating 2 people. Anything we need to say there, Greg, or just move on to Toxic Attraction, the new trio with a new name?
Right. Interesting.
Calling out everybody and challenging Io Shirai and Zoe Stark. I think, Greg, we need to pull the trigger there. And if we're going to call up Io, then let Toxic Attraction win. I think we have a lot of high hopes for Gigi and JC Jane, Greg. So when they get that first match, if it is, this coming week, pull the trigger, especially because the draft is happening, this weekend. So do you think Toxic Attraction grab the titles right away, Greg?
Yeah, I agree with you. They're new, they're hot, literally and figuratively, and they're the new Mean Girl Club. So let them, roll with it, give them the belts, and leave let Io head up to the main roster where she's been long overdue to go anyway. And the Zoe Stark thing is not working out. You can see they're really.
She has no charisma.
No, she doesn't, and it comes through on screen, and you can see they just have no chemistry. There's nothing that makes you want to like them, unlike RK Bro, and so it'd be better just to split them up and let them go their own way. So all in for Toxic Attraction doing their thing, getting the belts, and then carrying that forward. Let Neo move forward, and then Zoe can find another rivalry to dive into.
Because, right now I think Zoe's kind of swimming very, against the current, as they say. Because, like you said, there's just nothing there. I mean, the ring work is okay. And it's still short in her, it's hard to believe. It's probably what I think she debuted early summer, maybe, or ish. So it's still early, but, we got to get going or else she's going to be, losing people by the minute. So then Tommaso Ciampa and Braun Breaker, of course, beat Pete Dunne and Rich Holland. We're going to get the Braun and Ciampa maybe, friendly rivalry for our friends for now, and then they'll come to blows soon enough. Do you think we get the match on a TV episode, Greg, or do we maybe save that for TakeOver for the championship?
Yeah, you want to save it for TakeOver because you can tell
or whenever the next segment is, whatever next show they have.
You can tell that Braun Breaker's really the guy they're highest on among all the new guys that they've unveiled over the last few weeks. And if he's that big a deal, then he's going to be a guy who's going to be on a TakeOver show.
And now you can hear the Steiner voice in him too, which is so funny, Greg. Definitely. Now that we kind of know, and now I won't stop hearing the Steiner voice because I know that, But so that was NXT. Now we'll get like we said, Greg, we will get the honeymoon of Index next week. Do shenanigans happen on the honeymoon, Greg, or do we get an all-out, no shenanigans honeymoon?
It's going to be.
I mean, we got an all-out wedding, so now I'm like,
right?
I might just really swerve us and be like, "Oh, here's their honeymoon," and then just move on.
Well, it's going to be campy and funny, them, on the beach, or
do we see Johnny and Candace like spying on them again?
That could be, yeah. And Austin just hiding in the bushes, or really badly disguised in a cabana 2 over from them, something like that. So yeah, definitely a whole lot of shenanigans. And so bets are going back to not talking. And but yeah, there's enough meat on the bone with Candace and Johnny and Austin clowning around off screen to make it interesting.
Let Beth show up there. Why not? Beth Phoenix needs a vacation, doesn't she? So where they're at. So yeah. So we will take a quick commercial break, get some bills paid for Elite Performance, and then we'll get right into Grand Slam and kind of talk those 2 nights, and then give our Extreme Rules and kind of move on with our weekend, and hope you enjoy Extreme Rules. But let's do some quick bills paying, and then we'll get right into Grand Slam. Alrighty, so let's just get right into it, Greg. Bryan Danielson and Kenny Omega, time limit draw. Kenny Omega, I believe, has been part of the few time limit draws they've had in AEW. This is all setting up, we think, for a Iron Man match, I believe, down like maybe Full Gear. I could see that happening at Full Gear. But, they pulled out all the stops. I mean, like we said, Adam Cole, I think, needed that tune-up match with Frankie Kazarian, Greg, but Bryan Danielson was like, F it, I'm going to go full throttle, get the chopped out of the, get my my chest chopped to the hills and take every single thing Kenny Omega's got. He's going to take every single thing that I'm going to give him. And they did a 30-minute draw, and like I said, I could see an Iron Man match happening at a Full Gear in November. So what do you think, Greg? Bryan Danielson's debut match in AEW.
Yeah, couldn't have been better. I was surprised they led off with this. I thought this was the main event.
They should have switched it.
And absolutely. So I was shocked they started off, but still such a great match. I see why they want to, get you hooked from the beginning. But I was really impressed, we've been watching WWE Daniel Bryan for all this time. We want to see what the difference would be, if he'd wrestle any different, if he'd look any different. But this match was a banger. And again, going to the storytelling, going to working limbs, going to using all of the ring, the rampway, the outside of the ring. They flowed over and through everything seamlessly, like the ring generals that they are. And they had an amazing match. A draw is fitting. You can't have him lose coming right in, straight out the box. And it shows that he is on Omega's level, and he may be above Omega's level. And so it's going to make us want to see that championship match even more. And sign me up for an Iron Man match. Absolutely. An Iron Man match for the title. So it would be brilliant. Great reason to do a good 3-hour show with this at the top of it. So I'm totally with you on that.
Yeah. And no shenanigans till after the match. All the shenanigans were saved after. I like that they really let them tell the story, go at it, move for move, pound for pound, hit for hit. I mean, everything, it was really well done. And like we said, should have been switched. Not that Britt Baker and Ruby Soho wasn't bad, but there wasn't. I think the match didn't live up to maybe what we saw with the promo work. Like it was still there, but we kind of foresaw Ruby losing, and now it feels like she's got to go back to the line and almost restart, which is kind of a weird way to do it, because she just debuted. But we'll see how they do that. MJF defeated Brian Pillman. Nothing really with Wardlow there. I thought, I think they said under 10-minute match, Greg. I thought we might get a little more out of that, but did Brian Pillman look like he belonged with MJF, or what kind of feeling did we get there, Greg?
It was better than I thought.
Okay.
And it made sense to, give these guys more time to show there's something really behind the rivalry instead of MJF just smashing him in a few minutes.
That's
and true. It showed me that, Pillman has got something. He's got potential. It's going to take some time for him, but there's more to him than just, being the carbon copy of his dad and wearing the orange and black and, playing up all that. So it made me see that he's got some ability. He's got some talent above what I've seen him do with Griff and in his singles matches up to now. So I think that's probably the whole purpose of it, and I think they achieved that.
And slowly move him up, like we said, maybe TNT title matches here and there, and just get him going, because he, like you said, I think there is something there, and getting him with MJF is probably a step in the right direction. So, all right, how about this, Greg? Malachi Black, Cody Rhodes. Malachi Black wins with a roll up and some mist, pulling out the old mist thing. But I think some of the bigger storyline was obviously Cody shoving Arn and the crowd's reaction to Cody Rhodes, Greg. And even on Twitter, I know Twitter's Twitter, but there's a lot of hate now for Cody. And it's so funny to think just a year ago, Greg, where we were with Cody. And, maybe they think he's overexposed. Now you got the reality show. I don't think people are going to tune into that, honestly, just because they're starting to turn on him. Is a heel turn needed, though? Because I feel like we already got the Young Bucks and the Elite. You got Adam Cole now there. You have Miro. You got Omega. You got, Malachi Black. Unless you do a weird tandem of Malachi and Cody, like Cody embracing what Malachi's doing. But obviously, you probably need to split up Arn Anderson and Cody Rhodes. I think that's much needed. I always hated the idea that Cody needed a coach. It seemed too sports-like, especially with Arn, with the clipboard out there. I'm like, come on, people. Like, this is wrestling. It's not ballet, as they say. Or he even do the whole, like, NFL coach style where, he put the clipboard over his mouth to whisper stuff to Cody. Like, it's Cody freaking Rhodes, Greg. Like, he had his dad was Dusty. I don't think he needs a lot of coaching per se to do the ring work. But and then what about Malachi Black using the mist? That's another avenue to aspect, to add to Malachi Black, because we keep saying, add members to the House of Black, or he keeps having the dark eye makeup. Like, what does that all entail? So there's a lot to unpack there, Greg. So start unpacking it.
Love this match, and it ended the way it should with Malachi winning. I noticed immediately, because it was that obvious that the whole crowd was on Malachi's side, even though he's the heel in the mix, and Cody was getting booed out of the stadium. So the seeds are definitely planted as far as Cody turning heel. And the way I see it is that in the beginning, and at least for the first year and a half, kind of felt like we owed a debt of gratitude to Cody, because we saw that he was really the guy who led the charge into forming AEW. Him and Tony and the Bucks, and without those guys, there would be no AEW. So it was a big love fest, an appreciation society, and a tribute to Cody for getting it done. For he left, he put his neck out there.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly.
With the tattoo.
Yep. Went the distance to bring in all this talent and form this new brand. And we paid our respects to Cody for a long time, to say thank you for giving us the alternative, to give us this awesome wrestling. And now that honeymoon period is over. So we give him his flowers. He has gardens and gardens and gardens full of flowers that we've given him. And now, when a guy comes in who's hotter and better, and like I said, we're probably getting a little tired of seeing Cody and his whole kind of self-righteous kind of way that he views himself, and now this reality show. It's time to step aside, and people are letting them hear it. And you can see even during the match that he recognizes it. And like I said, fuel to the fire. And I think Cody's heel turn on the fans is not far off. So Malachi is just hotter than fish grease, as JR likes to say. And finding another trick to keep the upper hand on the Nightmare family. I like the use of the black mist. I've always liked the mist because it's not an often used trick. I've only seen a handful of guys ever use it, and it always, blows me away. How did they do that? And
because you think you gotta have that in your mouth for a little bit of time, like
right?
It's not like, especially like Tajiri. Remember, Tajiri would just have like a buttload of it, like we just got to keep our eyes keen, I guess, on where they're at and whatnot. But
right. It's not like they don't talk to Matt during the match and everything. So
that's true.
They're not keeping their mouth closed the whole time. They have to breathe. So when it's happening, it still blows me away, because I remember Kabuki doing it. Remember Muda doing it, Tajiri, and then when Asuka did it for the first time, it blew my mind, because I'd never seen a woman do it. So it's probably because it's probably a really hard thing to pull off. You don't see it often.
It should be limited,
right, and that makes it even better. So when Malachi does it, you're like, okay, I get it, and I dig it. So love how that match finished, and he stays one step ahead of Cody, and the fans love it, and it adds more layers to what's going to happen next.
I guess what's funny with the Cody Rhodes stuff, like, is there times when it feels like he's went over that he shouldn't have? Yes. But with Malachi Black, I feel like he's doing it the right way. And I think that's why it's weird that the fans are so turned on him now. With the Anthony Ogogo stuff, we said, okay, Cody beat him. Probably shouldn't have. And I'm sure there's been other times, but that was the most, that was the one I'm like, okay, Cody should have lost that. I think he did lose in that tag team match to QT Marshall or whatever, but Anthony Ogogo was the guy, and we haven't seen him back on TV, or even mentioned lately. So who knows what's going on with that? But I feel like Cody's doing the right thing, but it seems like the crowd is just like, okay, whatever. Like you're not, you're overexposed is probably the word I would say. Because, like we said, with the whole – because for me, Brady Rhodes always rubs me the wrong way with some of her Twitter comments and, trying to play a little bit of a martyr in a way. It's that fine line where, you're like, oh, I'm for the fans, but I'm not – I don't need to be for the fans all the time, like outside the ring or stuff like that. So Brady Rhodes sometimes has rubbed me the wrong way. But, I thought Cody, like you said, if he does a bet on himself, I think AEW still starts. Maybe. Well, that's the thing. Does it? It's because do the Young Bucks have that big name to pull in? I guess if Jericho leaves, then yeah. But does Jericho do it because he saw Cody, start it? But Cody was kind of one of those first people to bet on him because the Young Bucks always bet on themselves. They never signed with WWE. I mean, they had the chance the most recently before AEW, but it seemed like like you said, it was Cody kind of leading the charge into that and literally putting it on his neck with the tattoo that, he got over through that because that's when people really were like, oh my God, you just tatted up your neck with your own, logo. How crazy is that? And I thought he kind of swelled that with, good ring work. But now it does seem like the crowd is, and like we said, Twitter is such a small glimpse into it. But you're hearing the boos like live, and this isn't like, boo Miro. This is like, boo. We literally do not want to see you right now. I mean, this is the old go away heat, as they call it. So that's got to be telling for Cody. And like you said, but I think he's smart enough to acknowledge it in a way because he changed the way he was working that match. I thought so. He's a pretty smart guy in the ring and outside of the ring. So we'll kind of see where he's going with that. Sting and Darby Allin obviously defeated FTR, Greg. Any thoughts on that? I mean, we kind of called it like we saw it, selling the hell out of it for Sting and Sting getting the Scorpion Deathlock for the win.
Yeah. It's just what we thought. And not a fan just because I'm done watching 60-year-old Sting in their body slamming, taking bumps, and having these guys oversell for him. I mean, is 60-year-old Sting still hit as hard as 25-year-old Sting? No, but you never know by watching the guys in the ring. So it just takes away from the validity of the match they're trying to have. So the less let him do promos, let him walk around with Darby, but please keep him out of the matches.
Yeah, it's kind of funny to think that Sting is still doing matches on TNT in 2021. Who would have even predicted that? So, and then Ruby Soho lost. Now Jamie Hayter got involved, so I guess that does leave a little opening. But do you think maybe, Greg, we need to not necessarily throw Ruby to the back of the line, but does she take a step back from the title picture? Or do you think she still stays in there maybe for full gear and gets a one-on-one match with the clean finish? No Hater involvement, no Rebel involvement or something like that, Greg.
Yeah, there's room for a rematch because we've got a bigger Team Britt would get involved in the finish. And they did. Jamie got involved, Reba, Rebel. They got it wrong so often I don't even know what her name is anymore.
Rebel, not Reba. No.
Yeah.
She has her Twitter handle, which is funny.
Yeah. So there's definitely room for Ruby to come out and go, can you beat me in a clean match? It's enough to have your goons get involved for you, but one-on-one, can you beat me? So they can cut a promo to insinuate that, and it could lead to a gimmick match, like a cage match,
she beats one of them, maybe Jamie or Rebel, and then they can't be at ringside.
Banned from ringside, yeah.
I think that'd be a good way to go. So that was the first Dynamite episode, then Grand Slam. We'll just kind of get right into it, Greg. CM Punk, Powerhouse Hobbs. Are you happy CM Punk is back in the trunks, Greg?
Yeah, I didn't even notice.
That was the big Twitter feud of 2021 was CM Punk wrestling in pants. Maybe he just wasn't comfortable. I don't know, but whatever. Him and Powerhouse Hobbs, though, I thought put on a really solid match. I think the little tap at the end was like a legit, hey, good job, Hobbs, from Punk. When does Punk and Hook go at it, Greg?
I think they're saving it because they still have Ricky Starks sitting there. I see that happening before Hook gets involved. They really seem to be waiting with Hook. And the longer they wait, the more we're going to want to see it. So, you still can bring in Starks next, have some beef with Taz, for a couple weeks on the mic, and then, Hook steps up. So you could drag this out for a couple more months before we see Punk and Hook. So
could Punk do something to Taz, like maybe get a little physical? See, that's the thing. I don't know what Taz's physical. Maybe he can't get physical at all. But you almost feel like could Punk do something to Taz to make Hook want a match? Really step up to the plate because we haven't seen. I keep forgetting, Greg, but I don't think Hook has had a match on Dynamite, at least. I'm positive, right?
Right. I mean, he hasn't had a match, period.
I don't even think our Dark Evolution. Okay. And see, I don't watch Dark and Evolution, so I don't know what, I always watch the ticker to see who beats who, but, I never see who, if Hook, I feel like Hook. So, talk about a first match, like with CM Punk, who would have ever, you dream of that. So that'd be kind of cool for Hook to get his first match with CM Punk. The Young Bucks and Adam Cole, the Super Click now. We got it, Craig. They defeat Jurassic Express. And we now are going to get Adam Cole against Jungle Boy for Dynamite, Greg. That's going to be something to watch because I think that's going to be a good test. We keep putting Jungle Boy in these spots. You know what? I think in a year or two, Greg, maybe even sooner, Jungle Boy will win that title. I feel like they're really pushing him to be the, and that'd be like a home, we always talk about ex-WWE, that'd be a homegrown talent. If Hangman's not the first guy, maybe Jungle Boy will be the first AEW original to really get that title. I know Omega has it now, whatever, but I still think of Omega as a New Japan guy, but he's, it feels like Jungle Boy would be somebody that, okay, he's other than maybe Nightmare Collective, the Nightmare guys, factory guys, because they're legit, homegrown. But Jungle Boy and Adam Cole, we saw Shenanigan, Brandon Cutler helping out there, but not really good stuff. We thought Adam Cole and the Young Bucks would have a lot of fun in the ring together, and you saw that. The kiss on the cheek, which is their big calling card. And just, Adam Cole, this where we said Adam Cole is in regular season mode now. Now he's got that. He got the Francis Kazarian preseason match out of the way. Now we're going to see, and I think him and Jungle Boy will be just another notch in the regular season for him. And who would have thought, we'd see Adam Cole. I kind of didn't think we'd see Adam Cole in AW, but the writing was on the wall, and here we are. So what about the match, Greg? Any thoughts on it?
Yeah, really enjoyed the match. And like how it set up Adam Cole and Jungle Boy because, you can tell when they face off that the crowd kind of buzz for it, that, you have that, ooh, let's go kind of moment to it. And I agree with you that Jungle Boy is definitely the homegrown talent that is really going to be like the first guy, AEW guy, to wear the strap. And I've enjoyed his evolution because just thinking back to the first match, the first episode of Dynamite where we don't know who these guys are, and his calling card is that he's the son of Luke Perry. And, old heads like you was like, okay, we knew Beverly Hills 90210. Okay, yeah, he looks just like him.
Yeah.
But
It's kind of
he's
scary how
so
much he looks like him.
right. I mean, dye his hair black and the mutton chops, and yep, that's exactly him. Um, but now we're away from that. Nobody mentions that anymore. He's really come into his own with his ring work and how good he is. I'd still like to see him develop his mic skills so he can stand in the ring and hang with Kenny and Adam and the dudes who are at the top who are really great on the mic. So I'd like to see that out of him, but he's really grown into his body, so to speak, as far as um, being a top guy, establish himself as a top guy. So super excited to see how he and Adam Cole go. I'm sure it's going to be another great match, and this would be another match I wouldn't mind seeing a 30-minute draw out of. But it screams super click interference all over it. But hopefully that's coming after he's got the upper hand on Adam Cole, and he needs to be saved. So it set the stage great for a finish like that.
And unlike the next segment we're going to talk about is the Men of the Year get the win over Jake Hager and Chris Jericho, Greg. And then we had top team show up. Was that Masvidal who hit the running knee, or who hit the running knee?
Yeah,
okay.
Hospital.
And then Paige Van Zandt hit those little punches. I know I've heard she's a bare knuckle fighter, but those punches, Greg, just look so. I'm like, come on, Jericho
right.
could take a few. I mean, she didn't even look like she was close. Like it just. I'm like, I'm sure Jericho could take a few punches. Like not legit, but like make some contact. I mean, she was just like this and then done. And I'm like, okay, but it does feel like, Greg. We mentioned this before. Who was going to step up and do matches? Well, now we got our answer. I think Paige Van Zandt is slowly making the wrestling transition, and then obviously Masvidal. I mean, hitting that. I guess it's a running knee or fly knee, whatever they called it. But now, who's going to come to the aid of Jericho and Hager, Greg? Because it feels like the inner circle. So they're not splintered, but I guess they could come together to fight some of these, MMA guys, and then Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. So maybe this is a way to get the inner circle kind of back together. I think Jericho called it more like a New Japan type group where, yes, they're a faction, but they also do their own thing. And then when that time comes, they get back together. So do you see that kind of happening, Greg? Like top team with Ethan Page and Scorpio against inner circle, down the road?
Yeah, I see something like that happening. I was a little surprised by the top team getting involved. Just knowing their histories and having watched, I've seen all of them in the Octagon, and knowing that these guys have the personality of a wet mop. Arlovsky and Junior Dos Santos, which is most imposing of everybody who came down there. The significance of Masvidal and the flying knee was that he had a beef with a wrestler named Ben Askren. They ended up having a UFC fight, and Askren charged Masvidal, and Masvidal ran at him. It was kind of the old superhero thing. They're coming at each other from different sides, and as he was charging, Askren went low, and Masvidal went high, went up, hit him with a flying knee flush on the forehead, out cold, 8 seconds, fight over. And that it is still a gift. You should watch it. It is a brutal knockout. And
so that happened at the start of the fight?
Yeah, that was the whole fight.
Okay.
It was 8 seconds.
So they're building
long.
it up, and then okay, gotcha.
Yeah, it would take you longer to YouTube it than it will to watch it, but it is fantastic finish. And so that was the significance of the flying knee, because that's reminiscent of the same knee that knocked out Ben Askren. So
gotcha. Okay.
I definitely encourage everybody to go back and see it because it's fantastic. Um, but as for Masvidal is still in the mix as far as big UFC fights, so I don't think he's going to jeopardize that by wrestling. Guys like Dos Santos, they've been kicked out of UFC. Arlovsky's been kicked out of UFC. Paige Van Zant's been kicked out of UFC. She went to do bare knuckle fighting, and she's lost her first two bare knuckle fights. So I can see her trying to transition into wrestling.
Her and Undertaker should practice their soup buns, right? Because her punches look like the Undertaker when he is just like he does those weird, Anyways, but okay, so she's a bare knuckle. Okay, and obviously if you've lost your, so maybe it does sound like she'd be like, okay, let's try something else, after, not necessarily failing, but feeling like maybe I need to move on. So
yeah, because she's not had any success after she got booted out of UFC. She lost her last couple fights in UFC, and then she's lost her first couple fights in bare knuckle. So finding something she can transition to. She makes more money as an Instagram model as she ever made fighting. So she's fine there, but I'm sure she wants to do something physical to make herself feel
edge.
worthy. Yeah. So, but I'm still watching to see where this whole thing is going. That Arlovsky and Dos Santos will be kind of the goon squad and who the Jericho and the guys are going to bring in. And I'm kind of agreeing with you that they'll put the inner circle back together to fight off this new threat, because I can't think of anybody from the outside that they can bring in to match up with him.
You bring Tyson back?
Stature-wise.
Like Tyson, the honorary inner circle
honorary member. Yeah,
we haven't seen him on TV since, so yeah. I know.
But maybe it sets the stage for some more debuts. Like I said, Bronson Reed doesn't have anything to do right now.
And he's a big guy that a good fit for them. And like I said, I still wonder if maybe Jake Hager would just end up turning, because it doesn't seem like he'd be fitting more for that whole team.
Yeah.
So you wonder if that's going to play a role down the line. But the HFO lost to the Lucha Bros, Santana and Ortiz. Really good pop for Santana and Ortiz being back home. Saying they did it for, or Ortiz, I believe, or I forget which one, said they did it for their dad, who they lost sometime last year. Really cool. I like the face paint and, just a babyface win there, Greg. Our typical 8-man match where, feels like the baby faces always get the win. Any thoughts on that match, or, should we keep plugging ahead?
Yeah, just good match. And, Team Lucha Bros forever. So that's all needs to be said there.
Anna Jay lost to Penelope Ford thanks to the brass knucks. Really, the aftermath was where everything went down, because you had, the HFO show up. You had Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander show up. You had the Dark Order show up. Anna Jay thought the Dark Order was going to shake hands because Alex Reynolds put his hand out. Colt Cabana looked like he wanted to, but we had Evo Uno and Stu Grayson leave. So yet again, we are not putting the Dark Order back. There's still the splinter there. So, and also we have Jack Evans versus Orange Cassidy, hair versus hair, Greg. So sorry for those lovely locks of Jack Evans, but they will be gone on Dynamite next week, Greg. Because like Orange Cassidy, he doesn't really have much, he's got some hair, but like if he shaves that, he shaves the main part, I don't think it looked that different. So sorry, Jack Evans, like your hair's gone next week, because obviously Matt Hardy's not ready to put his lovely locks up, because I'm guessing Matt Hardy is slowly but surely losing his hair. So I don't think Matt Hardy's ready to go the shave route yet. But anyway, so a lot there with the Dark Order. Anna Jay and Ty Conti will fight Penelope Ford and the Bunny at Dynamite this Wednesday in the tag team match. Because, you know, these 4 women, Greg, I feel like they're doing WWE thing with them. They're just they all keep going after each other. So I'm guessing we'll have to get something with the brass knucks. Like there'll be some stipulation attached there. I'm not going to say on a poll, but you feel like there'll be something because the brass knucks keep getting involved. So whatever direction you want to go, Greg, because there was a lot. It's once again where AEW throws everything at the wall and doesn't feel to let anything breathe. I feel like with all this happening. So
yeah, it's just a different angle than what we're seeing with the title picture and but sending, you know, different women in different directions, kind of digging that because they're so distinct from each other. I like what's going on with Thunder Rosa and Jade and Nyla over here.
And I didn't even bring that up because that was a good little promo.
Yeah. And then these 4 right here, the whole brass knuckles thing and the return of Anna Jay, they're doing their own separate distinct thing over here. And then the championship picture and the people involved over there with Ruby and Britt, and then whoever else they're going to have in the championship picture. So they got 3 rings of action going on that is clearly distinct of each other. So it seems like a jumbled mess, but you know it's giving us something different, unlike WWE where everything looks the same. So
yeah, that's true.
It's a different angle. You know, women who are fighting a harder style of match, a heavier style of match, and you know, getting the weaponry involved. You don't see that often, at least often enough for me, because you know, you and I know women are cattier than men, and they probably fight dirtier than men. So
they fight dirtier. I've heard. I've heard many times that women fight dirtier. I don't want to fight a woman.
Nope, do not. And you know, having some brass knucks involved, so it's interesting to see how they work that in and how it's going to be used. So I'll be watching those matches. But
the hair versus hair thing is just so dumb because it's not like we know Jack Evans for his hair. I mean, Matt Hardy, like I feel like you've got to do the hair versus hair for Matt Hardy down the road. And if Matt Hardy, you don't necessarily have to shave it off, but maybe you cut some of, I don't know, you know. But those shears Matt Hardy pulled out, I was like, shoot, that will cut a few inches off. Like those almost looked like, you know, some serial killer type scissors he pulled out. So yeah, like women's matches, I feel like, and the women, like the hair versus hair thing is big because a lot of women are known for their hair. You know, we know women for their hair. You know, like when Molly Holly lost her hair, like that was a big deal. You know, so. You know, but men versus men, like hair versus hair for men, I'm like, unless, you know, it's like AJ Styles, maybe he can, you know, losing his lovely locks would be interesting to see. That, you know, women always joke, they're like, whatever conditioner he uses, he needs to share or be a sponsor for because his hair's, especially what was it, the WrestleMania where it was outside and there was like a moments like the hair was just literally flying. Like it looked like something out of a movie. Like it was almost a fan. It was just natural as the wind blowing his hair, but way too much hair talk there because we're going to get into the. Go ahead.
I was saying it's different with Orange Cassidy involved though because that's all a part of the cool factor with him.
That's true. I mean, he does do that one little. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, you figure Fozzy wears an Orange Cassidy t-shirt. That's how cool he is. And so. Picturing Orange Cassidy bald would definitely take away from some of that swag that he has. So it does give you some
like
kind of feel for him a little bit. Yeah, some sympathy. Knowing how underhanded Matt Hardy and the HFO are, if by some hook or crook they managed to beat him in this hair versus hair match and we'd all be crying a little bit for Orange as he gets his head shaved. So, right.
True.
Nobody wants to see that. So, but that's part of the whole attraction of it. And I like what Matt Hardy's doing as far as, he's being the carnival barker and the sleazy car salesman all in one,
Mm-hmm.
and making it sound like, okay, you want it, your hair against Jack's hair, and
Mm-hmm.
um, Jack caught off guard. His reaction is priceless. Like, no,
Yes.
not my hair, but
Mm-hmm.
you're that's what you signed up for when you got with the HFO. So, um, sorry, Matt or Jack, but those long locks are off. So
At least if maybe his big ponytail part, maybe they'll just snip that off and let him still have some hair left, but we'll kind of see that. Finally, Suzuki Gun, which was Lance Archer and Miro Suzuki going against John Moxley, Eddie Kingston. Homicide made a debut. I don't know if that was a one-off break for him. That's an LAX thing. That's why I was surprised he didn't debut with Santana and Ortiz, because he was with them too for a little bit, if I'm correct in Impact. So, I'm guessing New York City, he wanted to, debut, and maybe he's making a run back. But this match obviously does not count because it's unsanctioned. We had Moxley win. Or sorry, who got the win? I can't remember. Oh yeah, Moxley. He hit Archer.
Moxley.
Sorry. Yeah, my fault. I was like, okay, I couldn't remember. But anyway, so everything was pulled out here. There was tables, kendo sticks, trash cans. Eddie Kingston bashing the hell out of that trash can at the end of the match. They did have Archer pull to the wrong camera angle, I thought, because you could see Archer like leaning away from all the shots. I was like, no, turn it back around, turn back around, Lance. Like you're facing the wrong way. But anyways, so just little things like that. And Homicide, do you think Homicide is gonna be is this a one-off, or do you think he's gonna maybe do some stuff with Kingston to give Moxley some singles run? Or what about that, Greg?
I can see him fitting in a couple places. It would make more sense that he gets in with his LAX buddies.
Yeah.
With Santana and Ortiz, and then they could go after the Elite because they're outnumbered if they want to try to go after the Elite.
Yeah.
I don't see them challenging the Lucha Bros for a while because they have their little mutual respect society going on right now. And then if they're going to get into the war with the American Top Team, then that's another number they can use.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like it is a one-off thing because of the New York connection.
Mm-hmm.
But there's places for him to fit. So I can see him in there with Eddie Kingston and Moxley just because he fits the tenor that they've set with their style. But also he fit into the inner circle for the same reason.
Yeah, and then Moxley and Suzuki were still fighting when they went off air. So I guess we're never going to be done with that feud, Greg. They are going to take the words "fight forever" and just literally fight forever. So one more piece of news. I don't know if you saw this, Greg, but Christopher Daniels showed back up in Impact Wrestling as the Fallen Angel, and I was thinking, well, if he's obviously at the end of his career, it makes a lot of sense to finish up at Impact. Do a small run there, maybe the next year or so. If they still do their Hall of Fame, he probably should go into that and then, be done. I think they still do the Hall of Fame because didn't Ken Shamrock go in it recently or somebody like that? So, it was kind of interesting to see Christopher Daniels show back up in Impact as the Fallen Angel because that was his big deal there. So were you watching Impact when he was doing that, Greg, or was that a little bit before your Impact Wrestling days or any crossover there?
I didn't watch the recent stuff with Impact.
Okay.
But I did watch original Fallen Angel Christopher Daniels when Impact was a thing. And, saw some great matches with him and Kazarian, and, they ran multiple
Mojo.
groups. So it does make sense that he goes back to Impact to finish his career off, come full circle. I've always enjoyed his ring work, his charisma, his promo skills. So it's fitting that he goes back and finishes out there.
Because they had a little promo for him, like he put it out himself, and it showed him like training to come back. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And then Thursday night, he showed up in Impact. I forget who he was with. I'd have to look that up. But anyways, so yeah. But anyways, good to see him back. I mean, it looked like he took a couple hard shots there, remember, at the end with his eye. So I'm glad that that's all cleared up and he's able to, finish off the way he wants to. So we're going to do one more commercial break for Rogue Energy, Greg, and then we'll get right into Extreme Rules. Some interesting matchups that could tell where things are going to go for the draft, or maybe feuds will carry over. So we'll kind of see where things go for Extreme Rules. All right, and we are back, ready to give you our Extreme Rules predictions, and we'll kind of just get right through it and tell you what's going on with Extreme Rules. I think first off, Craig, Liv Morgan versus Carmella is the match that Liv Morgan needs to win. I know she just lost to Selena. By the way, congrats, Selena, Greg. Her first win is coming back. 1 in 25,568, I think it is. I don't know. But anyway, so that makes me think that Liv Morgan gets the win over Carmella this Sunday. And I think that'd be a good opening match, maybe second or third match to let Liv Morgan get that win. And, hopefully, even if she keeps feuding with Carmella, let her get this first win to knock that under her belt to say she has that. I think there's big things for Carmella or for Liv Morgan, happening. So do you agree, Greg, with Liv Morgan going over, or are you going to pull the trigger on Carmella picking up the win?
I agree with you. I think Liv Morgan should win the match. She's done kind of yeoman's work as far as being able to, stay the course, and she's had some better matches, even though she had got a little sidetracked with this match on Friday, but you got to get going somewhere for her. So giving her a win right here on a pay-per-view, raise her stock a little bit, and you want to raise as many props as you can before the draft happens. So it would definitely be a big feather in her cap if she can go ahead and beat Carmella.
And her only, I think they said, second pay-per-view match, like as a singles. I'm thinking maybe tag team or whatever she wrestled. But Street Profits and Usos for the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. This one I go back, like I know you feel like there's going to be some screwy finish the Usos are going to retain. I'm going to call the Usos to win and retain. But I feel like there'll be a finish that keeps the Street Profits in the tag team title hunt. I feel like both these teams stay on SmackDown to kind of keep them there. But what do you think, Greg? What do you got for this match? Usos or Street Profits?
I am going opposite. I ain't going to call this, but my boys, the Street Profits, it's tape back season, and it's time to tape back those titles. I can see them winning this clean. I don't see Baumann getting involved. I don't see Paul getting involved. This is one of those good 20-minute matches that has some great false finishes, but I think Montez from the heavens is going to get it done.
And he got a really good match against Roman last night. I think that's very telling, Greg, too, that he got a singles match against Roman. I think that really sets up for where they think Montez. I feel bad for Angelo because that means he'll be the Marty of the tag team. But,
Right.
good job for Montez because he's going to – next year, it should be interesting to see, maybe next year, maybe at this time, Greg, where Montez is positioned because I could definitely see him in a higher rung sooner rather than later, So
Yeah, I think Montez has it all. He's got the look. He's got the ability on the mic. He's got the ring ability. And when I saw that was going to be the main event, I was hyped for it. And I'm usually not big on the main events lately, but this guy has all the tools, and I think he should wear the championship at some point in his career. He's got everything that they want. So I was very happy to see him get that match. It was that match delivered. He's not ready yet, but he's on his way.
Yeah, let him and Bianca, both capture titles at around the same time and be those baby faces that you can share with the media, you can share wherever you need, and the crowd will eat it up, I think. So that'll be kind of interesting. Like we said, in due time, he's going to be up there. Sheamus versus Jeff Hardy versus Damian Priest. I'm going to say Damian Priest picks up the win over Jeff Hardy. Gets pinned Jeff Hardy. That keeps Sheamus and Priest going at it if they need to, Greg. Who do you think Damian Priest will pin? Because you're not going against him, are you, Greg?
Not yet. I still think Damian
But
Priest
wait,
is
Jeff Hardy
win.
does deserve more, though.
He does, but he's in his give back mode. He's been there, done that. He's won all the chips, and now he's going to help get the young guy over with the Priest, even though literally Priest is not young, but WWE wise, he's still.
Isn't that the craziest thing? Like my mom looked him up and she's like, "Oh wait, Damian Priest is like 40 something." I'm like, "Yeah," like he's
Right.
he's not a kid like that, But anyways, so
yeah, you got to accentuate the few good years that Priest is going to have. So. I think Priest definitely gets over, but he gets over by pinning Jeff, and you keep the Sheamus thing going.
Yeah. We also have Becky Lynch, the SmackDown Women's Champion, against Bianca Belair. Once again, I feel like something happens to keep Bianca in the title picture. I think both these women need to stay on SmackDown as well, just to keep this feud going, because I kind of feel like it's a good one that could go in Hell in a Cell and maybe finish there. So I'm going to say Becky wins, but there's definitely a hook to keep us thinking that these two need to go at it. So that's my call for this match. Greg, how about yours?
I agree to an extent that Becky will still have the title by the end of the match. However, the reason is not because Becky beat Bianca, but because Sasha Banks makes a surprise appearance.
Who?
Right.
Is she still
around? Exactly. And she's going to pop up out of the woodwork, wear them both out, and now we have a 3-girl scenario going on. And then, in the next big show, you have a triple threat with Sasha back in the picture. So I'm calling my shot that this is where Sasha Banks comes back up. And
now, to be fair, Greg, we have called the Sasha Banks shot how many weeks now? I think we're starting to lose our straws on that, but unfortunately, yeah. I mean, yeah, you gotta feel like there's gotta be something to kind of keep, because like this is feel like it's moving towards Hell in a Cell. I almost wonder if Street Profits and Usos could go in Hell in a Cell too. I feel like that'd be a good one. I guess but I probably want all the matches in Hell in a Cell, but that's another story. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss. Shenanigans, I think, in this one. Charlotte keeps the title. Charlotte wins. but somehow Alexa still stays strong. I do wonder if we'll get a playground style match on Raw. Maybe that is your hook to watch Raw. Maybe not this week, but next week or something. I feel like these women both stay on Raw, but they've been so highly featured on there. I think it makes sense to keep them on there. So, how about you, Greg? Any thoughts on where they might stay after the draft, or how does this match all shake out?
Yeah, in the end, it still ends up with Charlotte with the title. I don't know. Alexa feels like she's losing some steam.
Okay.
As far as her pops and the way people are responding to her. I don't know if you read the article that I saw that showed it said there was a mass exodus of people at the Raleigh show.
Yeah. Did you make it to there, by the way? We never did ask you.
No, work got in the way, and I couldn't go. But I read that it said something like 1,500 people left during the segment with Alexa and Charlotte.
But I think now I want to go against that, because how do you really know how many people leave? I don't, whatever. Like I'm not trying to say it. Like it's one of those things. Like when we went to WrestleMania 30, I did see people leave after Undertaker lost, and they didn't come back. But it was, like how do you really determine a number? Because you're already in the building, and they keep track of that. It's not like they're going to count who's left afterwards. So the 1,500 number, I thought, like, it's Meltzer. He always says, like, well, I just think blah, 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 that this could have blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, dude. Like, and Alexa went after him. I know her.
Yeah, she did.
She wasn't holding back. She put a couple of tweets saying, like, and I get it, because you got to keep reinventing her to keep the steam. Like you said, is she starting to lose that steam because there's a shelf life to this? We don't have Bray there to fall back on. What's going to get her back to herself?
Yeah,
that's you're going to have to write her off somehow and show her back up, almost like it never happened. Or she could do the old it was all a dream. You can pull the old Who Shot JR Newhart episode. Click, the movie Click, they did that. So that might be the old hook that they pull us into that. But yeah, I saw that notice, and I'm like, people could have left, sure, but I don't know how you would have gauged that was 1,500 people, because that's a good, that seems like you'd be able to tell, 1,500 people left.
Right.
When they still knew that you were getting Bobby Lashley, Roman Reigns, and Big E going at it. So, I took it with a grain of salt myself, Greg. That's just how I took it. But,
I did too.
When you read his report, sorry, go ahead.
No, I say especially with that waiting for you on the other side of the segment, that you're going to get that triple threat as a main event. Why in the world would you leave? And it's like if you go to a football game and the other team's fans start walking out, you can tell there's all the other team's people by, but you can't sit there and quantify how many of them are leaving. You can see maybe a group here, a group there, but enough to say, okay, over 1,000 people left during this segment.
I didn't think visually it looked like anything was that gone, personally, like visually. But then again, we only see, that small bowl of, crowd for the camera. But yeah. Or, wasn't there the Giants football game where fans wanted to come back in because their team was starting to come back? I think that would happen once too. Or somebody's football game. Like I remember fans were trying to get back in, or Nets game or something, like there was some weird game. But yeah. And some of Metzler's reports are always like, well, I don't have official notice on this, but I'm just guessing. It's like, so that's all, we're guessing all the time too. So we could just say, like we said, Greg, Sasha Banks is going to return. And if she does, then we just say we're right because we said it. But anyways, so, and finally, Roman Reigns versus the Demon the only match, Greg, that has any stipulation like Extreme Rules. So they better pull out the kitchen sink here. I do think we pull the Brock Lesnar card. I don't know. Does he take out Finn? So he like Roman keeps the title, or does he take out Roman? Maybe Finn tries to pin it. Like, I don't know where Brock Lesnar comes, but Brock Lesnar is coming at Extreme Rules at some part and lays out Roman, I think, somehow. Is that what you see happening?
Yeah, I think Brock gets involved for sure.
I don't know, before, after, during.
That's the thing is that they've really leaned in heavy that the Demon's undefeated, and it's the perfect setup with Brock in the wings, and who does Brock take out, or does Brock just take out both of them and we have a no finish? But it's hard to have a no finish,
and that keeps Demon still strong.
Right. That being said, it's hard to have a no finish in a match where anything goes. So, yeah. I mean, if he lays them both out so that, they can't proceed anymore, is the only way to save them both.
And then you just do the match on SmackDown. Like, you almost have to do, like, do you maybe bring up the Demon for SmackDown, or do you just give Finn a rematch at SmackDown? Because I feel like Finn's going to stay on Raw or on SmackDown. I feel like Finn wants to be on SmackDown, and I think they'll keep him there.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking about it after that match was over, and I was like, well, okay, what are the odds that Demon wins and Roman goes to Raw? Because Raw is the flagship. Raw is dying in the ratings compared to SmackDown, even compared to AEW. And they could use Roman's star power to resuscitate Raw, even at the cost of the bloodline. However, the bloodline this whole storyline is so strong that, why mess with it?
You got to think Fox has a say in that too, that maybe they want Roman on Fox, right? Because I'm guessing, there was some reports, Fox is very unhappy, but there was a dinner and they talked out things. It's like, okay, like these reports that come out, I'm just like, okay, whatever. But yeah, so, and and then of course the Roman Brock thing, like you got to, I don't know. Like, I don't know who could go to Raw, like, because even some of the ratings fell in the third hour for that match. So it's weird that, we had that triple threat match with all two champions and Lashley, and still wasn't as strong as you would have thought. So, but then again, they even said AEW's ratings didn't seem to hit where they thought it could have hit. So are people just not watching TV? Are people catching wrestling like I caught Rampage today, and doesn't play into a rating because I'm watching it the next day or watching it later. So, I don't know about this is a whole nother discussion about TV ratings and all that, because I don't get into them and I don't know what I don't know what TV ratings mean in the grand scheme of things. That's beyond my pay grade.
Yeah. It's dollars pretty much, the ratings equal dollars for a company. And they do like 7-day ratings for people who DVR'd it and watch it later and things like that. They have a way of tracking that. So I'm sure it all figures in. The problem is with the streaming that may be more difficult to quantify.
Yeah, like what if you watch it on an app? Like I watch it on the app. Like I watch a USA app, and I don't know if that plays, because the Nielsen ratings always are through your TV, is what my understanding is. Like you sign, so you would think some of these apps would have that by now. Now that streaming is such a force, but well, that's Extreme Rules. So we kind of veered off the neck of the woods there, but any last
no contest for the
and I can see that
because of Brock,
and then kind of keeps it open. I mean, maybe you do Hell in a Cell, for Finn and Roman, even though I think I need to check. I guess we need to see when Crown Jewel's happening and when when Hell in a Cell, because I believe Hell in a Cell is the next pay-per-view, but then you also have Crown Jewel happening in the middle of the month. So, yeah. Anyways, but that's all we got, Greg. Any last thoughts before you need to head off here?
Yeah, I'm excited because I'm going to it's bought a ticket for Fozzy. They're going to be here at the October, I think it's October 1st.
Okay.
And
that's Friday then. Okay, yeah, good. And I think they're here tomorrow or Monday for us, I believe. So I have not pulled the trigger though, Greg. I don't know if I will. If you're going, I'll just might live vicariously through you. Take a video of Judas and share it with.
Yeah, it was $20, and then the VIP experience is $25. So I was like, okay, how can you?
Oh, you got the VIP? Okay.
Yeah, so I'm curious to see how that all goes. If I actually get to stand there and talk to Jericho, and I will be happy to report back this time next week. So
you have to tell us how happens. I have met Jericho. I will say that he was at a World of Wheels. So, because World of Wheels every once in a while gets like, I've met Roman there, I've met Daniel Bryan there, I've met Edge there, and Jericho. So those are my 4 big meet and greets at World of Wheels, which is a big car show. I always joke, I'm like, I'm going to a car show, and then people are like, oh, you're going to look at cars? I'm like, nope, I'm going to meet a wrestler there. And then they're like, oh. I was like, yep. So that's why I keep waiting for Kurt Angle. I'm like, isn't Kurt Angle due for one of these World of Wheels? Like, he's that perfect fit for them because he's done wrestling. He's, still a big name though. And that'd be somebody I'd like to meet, kind of at that or Stone Cold though, Greg, is ultimately my holy grail. Like I want to meet Stone Cold somewhere. I can meet him in a parking lot, like I'll be that stock. No. Yeah. So anyways. All right. And who do your Chargers got this week?
We got Kansas City. Big matchup this week.
Awful loss
against Mahomes, right?
Because they lost
both teams.
The Ravens last week.
Yep, and we had a heartbreaking loss to the Cowboys.
Greg the Leg.
That's right, Greg the Leg. It's hard to beat the Cowboys and the refs. I'm just saying that I think when they got back to their locker room, there were some fat envelopes waiting for them, just off the way that game laid out in the end. Just saying, not salty, but salty.
It sounds like you're salty.
They
you're being the Salt Bay right now, Greg. You're doing this.
The Cowboys got away with one. I'll just say that because it shouldn't have happened the way it did. But anyway.
Well, Mike Colt's got the Titans in Nashville. What's funny is I think Houston lost. So if we could beat the Titans tomorrow, we would be in first place with a record of 1-2, which sounds so funny to say. But who knows who the hell's playing quarterback? I might go out there and lace it up for them because they're bringing in every other. They're saying Brett Hundley could start for us. They're saying Carson could still start for us. They're saying maybe even Jacob Eason. So I'm just going to put myself on the roster now too, Greg, and say that I am questionable for the Colts tomorrow at starting quarterback in Nashville. So I got to jet out of here to get down there so they can put me in, coach. But anyway, so I don't know what the hell to, this season, like we said before, showing up on Hard Knocks, by the time that maybe we could go live, it could either be off the rails or it could be maybe like a small playoff push. I feel like it's going to go either way. Hey. I don't think, I don't know if it'll be 8-8 or whatever, but yeah. So,
all right. Well, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Hard Knocks has been a big jinx for whoever's been on it.
That's what it feels like. Yeah. Well, just don't put us on the Madden cover, I guess, if that's still a thing. So, all right. Well, Greg, you have a good day today, and we'll talk to everybody next week with get all caught up on Extreme Rules, and I believe night 1 of the draft because I'm almost positive they said Fox is starting the first night. So, yeah, we'll kind of, if not, then we'll talk up the draft the week after. We'll have to anyway because that'll be Raw. So yeah, we'll see where the draft all unfolds, Greg, next week and early the week after. So keep it real and keep it tight, as they say on Up, Up, Down, Down, which might be hitting the bricks pretty soon, unfortunately. So thanks, AEW, for getting chugs, as they say. So have a good evening and enjoy the day.
Take it easy. Peace.